Hello and welcome to Chess Please, and today I want to be a cowboy, baby.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. I want to be a cowboy, baby.
That's right, we're talking about the Cowboy Attack, which is a rather underutilized weapon against the Sicilian defense. So again, a quick refresher, the Sicilian defense comes about when you play 1e4 and your opponent plays 1c5. And this can lead you down all sorts of dark avenues of deep, ancient theory that your opponent might be very well booked up on. They might play the Najdorf, they might play the Accelerated Dragon, all of these scary names that you might not have heard before. But don't worry about that, because we're taking the gunslinger's approach of the Cowboy Attack, which can be defined by one move, and that is 2b3. That is where you are clearly starting to plan to fianchetto this bishop. And in that lies the whole strategy, and I love an opening that comes with a very clear baked in strategy. Most openings do, some of them it's not as clear what the strategy is. This one, the strategy is we are looking to get our bishop here, trying to cause a bit of havoc down this diagonal, using our pawns and our pieces to try to keep this diagonal clear of your opponent's pawns. So you don't want to get too blocked up on that diagonal. You want to decide on moves that will help keep this clear. That's how I've been playing it. One opponent played this attack against me like a couple of weeks ago, and I was completely befuddled, so I decided to look into it, and I've been having a whale of a time. I won't go too deep into a whole different bunch of theory about this. What I like to do is I maybe like to talk about where your pieces are going to be most happy. So your opponent likely going to try to develop their knight. Anyway, that's just a very classic element of any Sicilian opening that your opponent plays. So in terms of developing our own pieces, we're probably just going to get our knight out here. I'm just going to make some relatively nothing moves for our opponent, but more so just to show you where your pieces are going to be happiest. One thing with the light square bishop, we'll talk about the dark square bishop in a second. You don't really need to be in a hurry to develop that or to fianchetto that. The square is already made. Your opponent isn't really bringing that into any disrepute, so you can focus on your other pieces for a little moment. Unless, of course, your own opponent starts to try and fianchetto their bishop, which is a huge idea a lot of your opponents will have. They'll try to put their bishop there. But if you get there first, they won't have time to do that. And you take away kind of their big book prep of, say, something like the Accelerated Dragon. So, back to where your pieces are going to be happiest. Oftentimes, I would actually just trade off this light square bishop. It doesn't necessarily have the same importance as your dark square bishop in this opening. That's one way in which you can develop that bishop. Another way is you can actually try to fianchetto it on this side of the board and go for a little crisscross applesauce there. That's one thing that you can do in the Cowboy Attack. It's a very, very natural one. Again, I'll make a bit of a nothing move. Let's say they're trying to develop their own piece. Not a great move, but again, we will. I'll share on a resource for a fuller repertoire on this. In terms of your knight, this knight here, sometimes you maybe actually even want to play something like f4 in order to free up this square for the knight, or rather play this knight move here without blocking in this pawn. Okay, and let's say, for example, with our knight out here, they castle, for example, something along those lines. Our queen can often come here, just sort of park herself right on the d2 square. Again, the ordering of this is probably going to change based on what your opponent does. I will say, for a full repertoire of the Cowboy Attack, as I was researching this, I did see, I was kind of raging because I got there too late, but the Chess Giant, who is a real gentleman and a great chess content creator, has a full repertoire of the Cowboy Attack. So check that out if you want more detail. But I think you have all you need to get started with the Cowboy Attack when you're just looking to put your bishop here, maybe trade off this bishop, put your queen here, knight here, king castled along, so you want to get your rook into the center of the board, and now you're free to kind of start a pawn storm over here on this side of the board. And again, we're looking to, at the right time, open up this bishop to wreak a bit of havoc down there. It's a whole lot of fun. I won't get too deep into the detail now. Let's just jump on into a game and you can see how it actually plays out. Let's hope we have the white pieces. Okay, and let's hope our opponent plays a Sicilian, because that's all we need. Okay, perfect. Now we have a Cowboy Attack. Bang. So again, bishop here. Let's even do our knight here. Why not? We're in no rush to play this bishop here. Again, we'll try to just trade off that good knight for our crummy enough bishop. Okay, so now they've got one little blocker here, but we do have this little f-pawn job up our sleeve here. So we'll start with this. We are going to heave pressure on here. We're not. Oh, okay. We're loving this. Okay, because now if we do this, we can we can start the pressure here. We're gonna do this. So now there's even an argument for this, because now we can play this F move without too much trouble. Beautiful. Now we'll have two nice pawns here. We'll have an open file. Okay. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Don't need to respond to that just yet, I don't think. We can just put our knight onto this lovely square here. Maybe we could have responded. That's fine. A trade-off there is no skin off my nose. We will castle long now. Okay, and now I think we've got a nice bit of tension here. So this is blocked up immediately, but perfect. Okay, they have resolved the tension for us. We can capture back there. And I think this knight can get out of the way and make it a little awkward for us, but we do have some kingside potential here, like pushing here, getting a rook across there. I think this works. We're not going to be able to take. Okay, that's fine. They don't have to move their knight. They do. That's good. Do this, hit this pawn, get this open. Not sure what that does. I guess it's another attacker here. We can respond in kind. It's an interesting one. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to bully this knight before it has a chance to muster all their forces here. And then I think I'll trade this knight off. It's not doing too much. Either take the queen or take the bishop. Bishop sounds good to me. Also takes this rook away. It's fine by me. That is fine by me. Yeah, we'll do that now. Perfect. To put a bit more squeeze on this pawn. This is a blitz game, so we're maybe not being as conscientious as we should be. What do we got? We got 1, we got 2, we got 3. They've got 1, 2. Okay, so I think we can just go right ahead and take here. There is an idea to do this. Actually, no, he's defending, so we won't bother with that. So yeah, I think we'll just take here. I think that's worthy. Knight there is interesting. I think it's okay. I think we're just going to keep on pushing. Maybe try to crack open this side of the board. Perfect. Okay. They don't care for such trifling matters. Okay, we're going to drop back here. Renew this threat. And now, one little pivot thing that you can involve in your cowboy attack, when it's all loggerheads down here, because sometimes your opponent is going to, get their fianchetto in, as I say, once we moved our knight out, that was a possibility. You can also do a little something like this. Unseat that rook there. So we're going to try this, although it does take a defender away here, but it attacks a rook, so that's better. Their queen's kind of in no man's land at the moment. Perfect, perfect. That's what we wanted. Now we've got a double attack on this square. That's a good move. That's a good move. But perhaps a little late the hero. We'll take here anyway. We don't have that much time left. Taking there felt right. Now we take here. Well, let's take here. 14 seconds left. Poof. What about this? What about this? What about this? Oh, there it is. Very nice. Okay. Messy enough Cowboy Attack. We definitely had checkmate a little earlier because I forgot about this guy. But this is just a nice way to play the Sicilian, I would say, because you have your strategy early doors, and I find like that's the biggest challenge with making plans, is trying to see how the game is shaping up and then making the call, making the judgment on the different values of pieces. Sometimes an opening can just help you make those decisions, which is what the Cowboy Attack really serves me well for. It's like, okay, we know exactly what kind of attack we're going to run. We're going to run a king side attack where we're maybe going to push through the center here. We know largely which of our pieces are going to be valuable, namely this bishop, this knight, the queen, and eventually the rooks are going to kind of find their own place. This bishop largely won't have a big role, so we can use that as a bargaining chip. These are the kind of general opening principles that really work for me. As I say, some people get more of a kick out of like going through each and every line and understanding like, if my opponent does this, I can do this. If my opponent does this, I can do this. I find I just don't remember all of that, so it's much easier for me to know what are the key ideas, what are the key pieces, what are the key squares we're looking for, and working from there. And I think, obviously we nearly ran out of time here, but that saves me a lot of time, saves me a lot of strife, and it's a really fun way to play chess. So that is the Cowboy Attack. I encourage you to try it out. You will see the second you start playing it, it's very easy to remember. It's one move, and the rest of it kind of falls naturally from that. Again, short and sweet version. Check out Chess Giant's version for a more broad repertoire on the Cowboy Attack. But I hope this gives you a new lease of life in playing against the tricky Sicilian. That's going to be all from me, folks. Feel free to subscribe and stick around for more chess content. And as always, enjoy your chess.